Hello and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live with me, your host, Lynnaire Johnston. Thank you so much for joining us. I do hope that you will find today's LinkedIn Live useful, interesting, and even entertaining because we have a special guest today, someone I am so thrilled to have back with us, and that's video marketing coach Gillian Whitney. Now, Gillian is based in Las Vegas usually, but she's on the road at the moment and is coming to us today from Phoenix in Arizona. So we'll meet Gillian in just a moment and I'll tell you a little bit more about her. But first, I just want to explain why we're here today. Now, you'll really very likely know that LinkedIn has just this week sent to bed permanently LinkedIn profile videos. Now, Gillian and I and many others feel that this is a real shame because they were something that were really popular with those in our field in LinkedIn and LinkedIn training. And so we are very sad to see these go. So Gillian and I are going to be talking about those and what the alternative is, and also about AI. Because, of course, AI has taken the world by storm this year, and LinkedIn has jumped on board big time. Now, a lot of their features are still in beta, and we haven't yet seen those come to our profiles to try them out for ourselves in many cases. But there is no doubt that that's the way they're going. Now, my problem with that is that I love video for its authenticity. When I front up to a LinkedIn Live like this, you are seeing me, my background, my office where I work, and it's all me. But when it comes to AI and the possibilities that that means for LinkedIn, that authenticity is at risk, I believe. And so Gillian and I are going to be having a discussion about AI and LinkedIn and how we can remain authentic on LinkedIn if in fact AI does become really important. And I think that that's certainly looking to be the case. So thank you again to everybody who has joined us today live. I do appreciate that. Hello to Kevin and a special hello to Michelle across in Sydney. Now, we will invite questions at the end of our discussion, so please do pop those into the comments. And my lovely assistant and team member, Cher, who is also in the comments, will be putting those up on the screen for us to have a look at. So now I'd like to introduce Gillian Whitney coming to us today from Phoenix. Hello, Gillian. It is so lovely to have you back.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Woohoo!
Well, it's lovely. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about Gillian before we get started. And just to make sure that I'm on the right track, I am going to read from her LinkedIn profile headline. Hard to get that wrong, Gillian, isn't it? So Gillian's a live stream strategist and coach. And I've had some of Gillian's coaching, and it's absolutely excellent. So she makes a live video easy peasy, and that's her strapline, her tagline. She works with B2B professionals from around the world to leverage LinkedIn Live to be discovered, noticed, and recognized with LinkedIn. So thank you, Gillian. And two more things I want to mention, three more things. You have a LinkedIn Live show, a LinkedIn Easy Peasy podcast, and that's on Spotify and, of course, all other places you get your podcast, and on YouTube, a Video Easy Peasy channel. And so please do follow and subscribe to Gillian's YouTube channel because she does some excellent things. Now, have I covered it, Gillian? Is there anything that I've not mentioned that you do that people need to know about?
No, that's absolutely perfect. And basically, if you think of easy peasy and me, my marketing is working.
Yes, well, it certainly does work. I absolutely agree. You and I have been connected since October 2020, and you've had a big impact on my own video work and video marketing, because I have found it very difficult to get over the technical challenges, and it was a real barrier for me. So I consequently didn't do much in the way of video, but you cannot stop me now. So thank you so much for all of your help in making me feel more confident around that and making it easy peasy. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. I love that.
Let's start with the LinkedIn profile video. May it rest in
I'm so sad. It was like when I woke up and I saw that email, and I saw it coming out, I really thought it was a joke. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is such a wonderful feature. And I think that with me, your LinkedIn profile video, what it does is it builds trust. And that, it to me, is the whole purpose of video. We're building trust, because if we can't meet you in the flesh, we have to meet you on the screen. And video was the way that it's as 2D, 3D as we're going to get. And I know myself, when I went to somebody's profile, the first thing I would look for was a profile video, because then I knew they weren't a fake they weren't a fake account. They were a real account, and I could get a sense of who they were. So LinkedIn taking that away was just like, what? Yes, there was some stuff that made it kind of fiddly and a little challenging, and the captioning and all that sort of stuff. But my goodness, could we not have improved on it to just rip the darn thing out? So yes, I'm very sad about that.
Me too, and I thought it rubbed salt into the wound to say in that email, which I didn't receive, by the way, that it was really because that was the feedback LinkedIn was getting, that we didn't find it was helpful to build our profiles and to build our networks. Well, I couldn't think of anything that's further from the truth, because I think you nailed it when you mentioned that it shows us as authentic and real. It builds that trust. But also another aspect of that is I think that it does show that we are comfortable in front of a camera, because I've had a lot of clients for whom I've been doing profile makeovers who've said no to a profile video when we have offered to do that as part of our service. They said they don't want to get in front of a camera for probably the very reasons that I found it so difficult to begin with. And I think that it's something in the modern world that we all need to get over, Gillian. We all need to be able to show that we can be comfortable in front of a video, not necessarily confident, but certainly okay with being here, but also that we can then be ourselves, as you've said, but that we can also, in front of a camera and coherently, talk about our subject matter, our area of expertise, because that's what we really are here on LinkedIn to do, is to be able to build credibility, visibility, trust, and to have people want to work with us. And I feel that taking the video away is a major mistake, firstly, and I can't see really why it helps LinkedIn to have taken it away. So my question is, what can we do instead? If you've got a profile video up, hopefully it's going to stay there for the foreseeable future. It may not. But what else can we do? If you haven't got a profile video because you missed the boat, what can you do instead if you suddenly realized, oh, I should have done something about this? What can I do now?
Okay, so I have a couple of suggestions. My first suggestion would be, you can do a profile video for the newsfeed. So you can literally just go and do the same thing. I still have my handout. It's right on my featured section about what to include in your profile. Aim for 30 to 60 seconds. You want to keep it short. and make a video introducing yourself, who you are, what you do, and why people would want to connect or follow you. Very, very simple. And if you don't want to be on camera, you can show slides, you can still do a lot of things. And my handout covers that. So do that, upload it to the LinkedIn newsfeed, and then make it a featured item on your profile. So that is sort of the easy peasiest thing you can do. If you want to kind of go one step further and be a little bit of a video ninja, what you could do is you could record a video and then you could upload it to YouTube or to Vimeo and then embed it inside a LinkedIn article and then put that in your featured section. And the beauty of doing that is two things. Number one, you can make a header of your article for any LinkedIn article. And I'm not talking about your newsletter. I'm just talking about a standard LinkedIn article. You can make a GIF and you can put the GIF of you waving and then go and put that as the header photo, so that when somebody sees it on your profile, there you are waving and their eye candy, they're going to be attracted. But the nice thing about putting a video inside an article is it's editable, it's evergreen. So you can keep changing it over and over and over again. And you can't do that with a newsfeed video. So as soon as you've I'm now doing a new thing, well, if you do it in an article, you can keep replacing that YouTube or that Vimeo with a newer version. So that's what I would do if I was a video ninja. And then the last thing that I would say is continue to use DMs and videos in your DMs to introduce yourself to people. So when you do connect with clients, you do make new colleagues and you want to connect, maybe you met them at a conference or you did a webinar with them or something like that, send them a lovely personalized video. So there are still ways that we can do video. And that would be my three things. And I'll put in one more bonus thing. Do not neglect your pronunciation feature, because with the profile video gone, that's at least still there. At least we can hear you. So that's a good thing as well.
I like the name pronunciation feature, and I like it because it's 10 seconds long and you can say whatever you want in there. Some people sing theirs. I will not be singing mine. And they make it really, really interesting and creative. And I think that's really fantastic. But it's amazing how much you can say in 10 seconds, Gillian. And I always recommend that to clients too, because it's so easy to do. And you just record that on your phone, on the app, don't you? So you can't record that on the desktop. I'm right about that. Okay, so
Correct.
That makes sense to me.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And so I think that what you're saying about adding videos to articles is a really good idea, and I had never thought of that. And I'm going to try that by adding that into my next newsletter and see how that goes. Because I think that with all of the things you can add into newsletters, I'm probably not using them as well as I might, and I want to do better. So I think putting in a video is a really good idea. And if I am sitting here saying I think I mastered this and I can do it, then I should actually put my money where my mouth is. So I'm going to give that a try. So I want to just check with you to see whether you think that video, in terms of LinkedIn posting, is still getting really good reach. Now, I am hesitating a little when I say reach, because I don't believe that reach in terms of views is what we should be after. I do believe that we should be after engagement and conversations with people. I think that's where LinkedIn's power really lies, rather than being able to say, hey, I've got 30,000 views on my video. Well, really, great, but let's move on. And so I want to ask you about video as a posting format and what you're seeing in terms of its effectiveness.
Okay, so I'd have to say I'm changing in the midst of changing my attitude, because I was actually getting a little down on video, because I was noticing that the sort of influencers on LinkedIn were all doing other people's videos. And these were videos of like dogs, sailing away and needing to get rescued, or like cute little bunnies, and, just kind of crazy videos where they were slapstick. And that seemed to be the trend, and they were going viral. And then, the regular person who's just talking about what they do was like crickets. And it was really sad to see people working so hard to do video and not getting any engagement, or very, very low engagement. Now, where I'm feeling a little bit happier is this week. We talked about this earlier, Lynnaire, that there's a big podcast, entrepreneur podcast, and it had Dan Roth and some other folks from LinkedIn on it, talking about the changes LinkedIn is making. And one of the things that stood out for me was that like people were complaining in their newsfeed, I don't want to see stuff. I don't want to see stuff. And LinkedIn is saying that they want to make a shift and focus more on knowledge and being relevant, that you're speaking about your expertise. And so in my opinion, I think the sort of, crazy videos that were just slapsticky, silly stuff, I think that's going to go away, because I think that's going to, just not do very well in the news feed. And I think we're going to start to see more thought leadership videos coming back. And I'm excited about that. I think that's a really good thing.
Yes, I was interested to listen to that podcast as well, because it would seem to me, and other people have talked about this too this year, that in fact that there have been, have I still got a microphone? I've just lost my microphone. There have been quite a number of changes to the algorithm. We've all seen that in our feeds. But in fact, what's happened, I think, is that changes have been going on for some time. And I think most of us have noticed that there has been a drop in our views. And I think that LinkedIn is still putting too much emphasis on the views, because it's something that we see the numbers for. It's everywhere on your LinkedIn profile. You can see how many views you've had in the last 30 days, I think it is, on your post, or 7, whatever. And if they took all that away and meant that we couldn't see those numbers, then we would probably focus on what was more important. So I think that that's definitely an issue, that they are saying one thing over here, but then they're doing another thing over here. But generally, you're right. The thought leadership seems to be what counts. So if we're going to be doing thought leadership videos on LinkedIn, Gillian, is it still possible to do those between 30 and 60 seconds long and still have impact and really be able to say that that's what they are, thought leadership videos?
I believe that is true, Lynnaire. And I think that you nailed it by saying it's got to be short, because when we talked a couple of years ago, we were talking about 2 minutes, and it's like, no, it's gone way down. So you really want to aim to get your videos 1 minute. A little bit under makes it even better, because then you could go repurpose your videos onto YouTube. So that's, something to keep in mind. But the shorter, the better. You must get to the point. And I hate to say it, but vertical videos, that's what I'm seeing is the most popular now.
Tell me about that. Is that the video where you see the black lines down the side? People used to record them in their cars, and you would see these big black lines down each side. And so the square videos that that I've been doing, certainly, for a long time, are you saying that those are not a format favored by the algorithm, or people are just not doing them that way anymore?
I think it's a bit of both. I think you don't see very many people actually making square videos anymore. I still think square videos are better than the 16:9 formats that we see for LinkedIn Live. So like basically this sort of horizontal image that you see for LinkedIn Lives, that's good for LinkedIn Lives. That's how they're all going to be, no matter what program you use. But when you're making recorded videos, I used to be all in on square videos, and they were kind of the letterbox. I don't think those are doing well at all anymore. So square videos are still good. They're still okay. But I think vertical videos, they're just doing better. Whether it's the algorithm favors it or just the fact that more people are on their phone, it takes up more real estate inside, the news feed when you're looking with a phone. And I think we cannot deny the fact that video is, we're having to go with mobile optimization. So you have to make your videos knowing that somebody is probably watching your video from a phone. So they don't see those bars. They only see those bars if they're on a desktop. If they're on their phone, it looks real nice.
Okay, so is still the 16:9 format in the vertical then the way to go? Or my phone has a full screen option, or should I do that instead?
Well,
Does
you
it
want to
matter?
do 9:16. So 16:9 is like a LinkedIn Live. So it's sort of, the YouTube television look. And then
Yep.
when it's on a phone, it's 9:16. It's absolutely the opposite.
Right. Okay. So it sounds a bit like it's going to be one of those things to practice to get right. So let me just ask then about captions.
Mm-hmm.
I really was very pleased to see captions arrive. I can't remember, end of the last year, because it meant then that people could put up videos really easily. The captions would be there, and the whole thing would look really nice and professional. But Gillian, I have had no end of trouble with the captions on LinkedIn, and I confess that I have given up, not the captions, but I've given up using LinkedIn's version of the captions feature, and we have Capwing, and so I put the videos into there, do the captions in there, and then upload that version of the video, which is very fiddly and takes a bit of time. And I'm just wondering whether that is just me, that's a technical issue, or is that a bit more widespread than that?
It's widespread. And that's probably the biggest heartburn that I have, especially, working with my clients, is having to tell people, okay, you have to do this and you have to scroll up and you have to turn off the automated captions. There really should be a setting in LinkedIn that says, I'm captioning my own videos, so don't worry about it, LinkedIn. I got it. But that doesn't exist. So the problem is that if you don't know what you're doing and you upload a video with captions, now you're going to have double captions unless you know how to turn them off. So that's extremely fiddly. The idea that if we know that we're talking about mobile people uploading their videos on their phone, they have to go back to their desktop in order to edit them. So most of the time they're leaving them, and it's kind of auto craptions because they're terrible. They're terrible. So you just go, okay, I don't know. So in essence, it's a good thing that LinkedIn did the captioning, but we really should be able to define our settings and go the way we want to go. I personally, I'm like you, Lynnaire. I like Capwing. I like it because I can edit my videos and I can caption my videos. And you can do these kind of cool karaoke captions now that, kind of different colors, and they kind of go across the screen. And you know what? The more eye candy we can put out there, it attracts people to watch your videos. So,
well, I'm going to have a go at that. So Capwing's been a bit of a nightmare for me to try and master, but I've certainly got there with the captions, and now I know that I can do that with them. I'm going to have a play with that, because if I'm going to be doing videos in a long, thin format, I am going to have plenty of room down the bottom to be able to put those captions in there. So I'm definitely going to have a play with that one. So karaoke captions, Gillian, I love that one. And another excellent idea. Right, let's move on to AI. Now, this is a hot topic. It's a hot potato, really, isn't it? A bit controversial, a lot controversial. And to be fair, I am not necessarily a fan of it on LinkedIn. When I first heard about it, I really thought that that was going to be one way that allowed fakery to become worse. And of course, we all know that it's a problem already. And one of the reasons I liked video was because of the authenticity side of of it, authentic side of it. And I felt that that would really help people to see that we were who we really said that we are. But I understand that you've been seeing a lot more AI videos on LinkedIn. And so I'm not certain I've seen those. So I'd like you to describe what those look like, and how are they being done?
Okay, so first of all, they're creepy. I can
Oh,
just,
okay.
if I have to give it one word, it's creepy. And when I'm talking about, there's good AI and then there's not so good AI. So, there's different things, and there's some things I do like and use AI for, and I can talk about that if we have time. But what I'm talking about, what I don't like, is I don't like when people are doing fake avatars. And sometimes it's just like using the custom ones that are inside the programs. So there's a couple of programs out there. I think one is called Pictionary. Another one's there's Runway. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole slew of them. And what they are is basically you can take your speech, you can take basically what you want to say, you put it into the video, you copy and paste it, and it does the talking for you. And it's some sort of fake person, talking in your place. Now, what people are doing is they're going one step further, and they're doing custom avatars that are us. So this would be a fake Gillian. So fake Gillian real Gillian goes into a studio, and this is big bucks. Like you're talking like $1,000. You go into a studio, you got the green screen, it's recording you, it's getting your voice, it's getting your mannerisms. And then now you've got your fake avatar, and you can just feed it all the lines, and then you're posting. And I have seen these, and in my opinion, they're horrible because they're not real. They're creepy looking. And the problem is that people aren't even saying this is fake B. They're just passing it off as their real stuff. And it's like, okay, we've had those bad hair days, but this is taking it too far. So if you want to know, how do you know who's got a creepy fake avatar? A couple things to look for. The hair won't move. So there's no curls flying in the breeze. If they have a beard, the beard never moves. The eyes don't move. So if they're smiling, it's just the lips and not the eyes. But most importantly, it's the voice, and it will be monotone. There'll be no variation in the speed, the pitch, whatever. And I've seen people using British accents, and they're Americans. And you're just like, you don't think we're noticing this? You're from New York. And now all of a sudden you have a British accent. That's real weird. That's real weird. So I don't care for those kind of videos. And they're coming up in sales. People are doing this. This hasn't quite come to LinkedIn yet. But what they're doing is you make your video once, and then now it can edit. And it's like, I send the same video to you, Lynnaire, and it says, hello, Lynnaire, I'm so happy to be working with you. And then that same video goes out to Debbie. Hi, Debbie, I'm so happy to be working with you. It's the same video, but you're just splicing out one person's name and doing another. So I don't know. To me, it's not authentic. It's creepy.
Yeah, and I feel the same because, as I've said, I think the whole point of video is to be authentic, right?
Yes.
None of us are perfect. We stumble over our words. We don't necessarily look fantastic. As you say, there are bad hair days all the time. And so consequently, being yourself and being real makes you human, and I think then approachable. It makes you personable. And other people are more likely to like you and trust you if you really do own up to the fact that you are real. So this fakery, I think, has got a real... I'm very concerned about it, to be honest, right across LinkedIn. And what you're talking about in terms of the that inauthentic video, I'm seeing with other things on LinkedIn in terms of written text. Now, I've been a professional writer all my life, and consequently, I am a little biased to see ChatGPT taking over a lot of the written tasks on LinkedIn. And I think that that is a real shame because, as you pointed out with the video, there are certain things that make it stand out as not real, as not you. And if, as we've already talked about, the LinkedIn algorithm is now favoring us being thought leaders and talking about our subject area, staying in our own lane, as it were, then I think that that kind of inauthenticity, is that a word? That inauthenticity is going to be really obvious. And so from from the perspective of somebody who doesn't do that, I think it's going to make me stand out in a positive way. But as AI becomes better and better, the writing will become better. It will be harder to tell that somebody's using ChatGPT or something else to be able to get their words across. And I think the same will happen with video. It's going to become much more sophisticated, and people will not be able to tell whether it's the real me or it's the fake me. And that, I think, is where the problem is going to lie in the future. Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh, I think it's absolutely a possibility. I watched a video yesterday on YouTube, and it was about somebody from the Wall Street Journal, and she wanted to see how many things her fake avatar, it was an experiment, could do. And then she called into the bank. It was just like, and I'm sitting there watching this going, you don't want your fake avatars calling into the bank. This is not a good move.
No, and I'd be really horrified if the bank said, yes, that sounds like you. But a lot of those sorts of things these days are AI driven, and they're based on voices, right? So if your voice in that fake one sounds like you and you pass the test or whatever it is you have to say, your name, I think, then I absolutely agree. Then things are going to become so much more risky, and it becomes even more and more difficult to be able to determine what's real from what's not. And we, in our own lives, so off LinkedIn, we all have real lives, we rely so much on online for buying our groceries, for example, doing our bank transactions, making travel bookings, whatever it might happen to be. We're all doing these things online these days. And if you can't trust those organizations that you think that you are working with, then that is a real issue, and it's certainly become a problem for me. This is not talking about LinkedIn, and we really should get back to that, and we will. But I receive a lot of emails pretending to be from the bank, pretending to be from the organization where I register my car. And all of those kind of things make me go, well, if I don't know if I can trust this email anymore. Now, bringing that back to LinkedIn, if people can't believe that they can trust us and what we're putting out there, whether it's posts or videos, articles, newsletters, whatever it might happen to be, how can they trust us? And I'm wondering whether one of the answers to that particular question is through these kind of events. And Gillian, you and I both run events quite a lot, and you particularly do many more lives, LinkedIn lives, than I do. But I've been doing a lot of LinkedIn audio events this year. In fact, I've had one a fortnight all year. And so I'm really putting myself out there on the event side. So I want to ask you whether you see that as an alternative to AI and how you are developing that in your own business, because these changes affect both of us, these AI changes affect both of our businesses. So how are we going to adapt? And other people, of course, too.
Lives. This is exactly what I'm focusing my business on, is that I have felt that in order to make the shift from the sort of sketchy AI video stuff that was coming down the pike, I had to make a shift. And my shift is LinkedIn Live, because it's authentic, it's real, it's genuine, and also too, you are talking with your community. It's a networking event where you are talking with a guest. You have your all the people in the comments, you're bringing them into the show as well. So it's a whole experience. LinkedIn audio events is another way to be very personal. And again, you're getting in people's ears, which means you're getting in people's heads, and you're being authentic, and it's not scripted, and it's raw, and it's forgiving. So if you go, oops, and you make a mistake and you zap out of your show and zap back in again, people are cheering for you because they're just like, you're showing up. There's no fakiness going on here. We cannot fake a LinkedIn Live, at least not yet.
Oh, I hope that we can't at all, Gillian, and you know, short term or long term, because that interaction with people, I think, is really super important. And I love the way that people like Michelle and putting up comments that we can then add to the event, and they stay with the event afterwards. So, and I know you do this the same, that you have these on your YouTube channel too, and then the comments still stay because they are actually on the screen, which I think is a really good idea. All right, let's move on to other trends. Now, you've talked about the shape of videos, and I'm really disappointed about that, because I'm not entirely sure how the new ones are going to look on the activity page, which, of course, I'm a huge fan of. And so I want to see what else you are seeing in terms of trends with video. So we've talked about short, we've talked about the orientation of them, and we've talked about some of the AI things that you've been seeing. What else have you been noticing with video on LinkedIn?
Well, I would say that if you really want to get good with video, or you want to know how to optimize your videos for LinkedIn, I think you want to follow groups like the LinkedIn creators, so the LinkedIn page for creators. I'm never terrible. I'm terrible with remembering official names whenever I'm live. It's just part of my brain, but I'll put the link in afterwards. But there is a page, and they have videos, and they talk about what's working and what's not working. And again, like we said, it's got to be short, to the point. You want to begin with, boom, jump right in, make that first second count. But they also talk about using what's called title cards. And title cards are some sort of writing on your video. It could be, think of a sticker, just think of a sticker across your screen. Sometimes people get fancy, if you look on YouTube, where they'll kind of put white text across a background, and maybe some logos or something like that, so you know what the video's about. So I think these are the kind of things. Another thing that's very, very popular right now is kind of like varying the edit. All of a sudden, the name for it has escaped me, but it's basically having a kind of choppy video edit, so that sometimes you're zooming in, sometimes it's zoomed out, having some B-roll now and then. This is getting fancy. And this is another reason why people are like, I don't know if I want to do all that work. Well, if you don't, do a live and repurpose those lives. And that's what I would recommend, because it can be a lot to do all this kind of stuff. So you might want to consider, if you want to go the video route, you might need to outsource your editing and have it kind of done, because having those special effects, emojis showing up, pattern interrupts, that was the word. You want to have these pattern interrupts, because people they just need things to, change up a little bit. So that's what I'd recommend. But I say, if you don't want to do a LinkedIn Live, be a guest. Be a guest on someone else's show and ask for the footage. And you can turn that into your micro clips, and you don't have to go and, re-record. It's like, take the good sound bites out of a LinkedIn Live and make them short form content. So I'm seeing a lot of people do that. And I think that's an excellent video trend. And then take that and put it on YouTube or other channels that you use.
And you're using Capwin to take those edits. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then that might be something that we can do too. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I would like to just make a comment about this, because we tried to outsource that recently and got burned very badly by someone who took us for a ride on that, didn't deliver. And so my suggestion on that now is probably to try to do it yourself if you can, because the barrier for me has been, that means I've got to sit through the entire event again and work out what bits I want to use, and then have my trusty team member share and take the edits that I want, and then package them all up. Now that's not difficult, but it is time consuming, and I think that that's probably part of the reason that we don't do those as much as we should or that we could. So is there an easy way, an easy peasy way that you know to be able to take those edits out of this longer form content and to repurpose those? Or is it something that's in the future potentially?
No, it's coming to an AI by you. And here's where AI can be good. AI can be an excellent resource for editing. That's how we do automated captioning. So I would be inauthentic if I didn't say I'm using AI. I'm using AI to do the comments on my, not comments. I'm using AI to do the captioning on my videos, but then I use it to go in and fix it up. So I'm part of it. But there are several different programs out there now that will actually chop videos up for you. And essentially what it's doing is it will look at a video and it'll see where are the logical pauses, and then make those into short form contents. So there's all sorts of different tools that you can use. One that kind of comes into mind is I think it's Pictionary, or I'll drop a couple of links in the comments of some of the ones that are out there. And this is brilliant, where you could take a 30-minute live, you could upload it and say, create a couple of videos that are like 5% of what I'm doing, or it does a transcript, and then you could highlight in the transcript, I just want this bit from when I said this to when I ended this, and that becomes your snippet. So there are tools, and to me, this is an excellent way to be using AI as a tool to support your video editing.
Well, that's interesting to know that you can get transcripts from within a program like that, because we've been using Otter. .ai to do transcripts, and of course then that separates it out from the video itself. So that to me it sounds like a really good idea, and you've been having so many good ideas today. It's been amazing. Now my team member Cher has got a question that I'm going to put up on the screen, and while you're reading that and deciding on an answer, I'm also going to mention that someone else has asked about the podcast episode with Dan Roth that we mentioned earlier in the live. In fact, it was the host for that was Jason Fiera, Pfeiffer, you said, I think, Gillian.
Pfeiffer.
And he's with entrepreneur.com, and the podcast is called Problem Solver for Business. That's at least where I heard it yesterday. So now, Cher's question, where's video heading in the future? Let's hear your thoughts about that.
Well, I'm going to take LinkedIn at its word and say that, one of the quotes from Dan Roth is that he said, it's all about people having good professional goals and having success on LinkedIn. And it sounds like they want to get away from the sort of, selfie thing and the viral videos and go more with LinkedIn being a business professional network again, which I loved. I was cheering that on when I was listening to that on the podcast. So the other thing was, I was inferring that it needs to be that you have the expertise in order to do what you're talking about. So I'm thinking, if I want to do videos, I should be doing videos about LinkedIn Live or about LinkedIn video, because that's my expertise. And that's how I have optimized my profile. So I probably am not going to start talking about, I don't know, perfume or something like that, or cooking, because it's nothing I know anything about, but my profile is not optimized for those topics. So I think this is hand in hand. And I think that what we're going to see is more emphasis on your skills. As Kevin D. Turner says, market value titles. Make sure you're using the right words on LinkedIn to be found in the search. Make sure it represents what you do. And then if you start doing thought leadership videos that are short, precise, add value, I think we're going to see some good stuff that comes out of this. And hopefully we're going to go away from, these influencers with 100,000, 300,000 people doing these, dog falling in the river and floating away videos because they're just trying to get all the engagement. I think we're going to see the end of that, or at least that's my prediction.
Well, I would really like to see the end of that as well, because I don't think that has a place on LinkedIn. There are plenty of other platforms that you can put those kind of videos up on, and they do really well, and they're perfectly appropriate, and that's what they're designed for. But as you say, LinkedIn is a business platform, and that's what we need to be thinking about its use for, and making sure that everything that we do is focused on achieving our business goals, and as Dan Roth talked about in that podcast episode, economic opportunities. Now, I thought that was a really cool term, and that's the one that stayed with me, I have to say, after that episode. And it's very well worth listening to. So that podcast, again, was called Problem Solver for Business. Now, Gillian, before we wrap up, any final thoughts on video and LinkedIn that we may not have covered that you would like to mention that potentially I haven't asked? You've been so hugely helpful today. I am definitely going back and listening to the transcript and reading the transcript of this to pick up all the nuggets that you have given us that we're going to be able to use ourselves. So any last thoughts?
My final thought would be experiment, see what works for you. Just keep an eye on the videos that attract you. What do you like? And then don't worry so much about how many impressions is everything getting and this and that. I never worry about that. I always begin with the end in mind is this valuable? Would this help somebody? And I truly believe if you are called to make a video, called to talk about a LinkedIn Live topic, somebody out there needs to hear what you want to say. And just know that it doesn't have to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. It's always about progress and just communicating your message and getting it out to the right people. So if that's your goal, then I think anybody can do this, and just be you. Just be you.
I work on the theory that done is better than perfect, Gillian. Otherwise, I would never get a video up on LinkedIn at all. My main problem is keeping them short enough, but I have a bit of a problem with being a little bit verbose. So that is a really good discipline for me, is to try to aim at less than a minute in terms of my videos. So that's certainly one of the messages that I've taken away from our conversation today, as well as the orientation. I'm going to try doing my videos in a different orientation and see how they go, whether they get any more engagement, because I'm not looking for views anymore. I'm looking for engagement. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see where LinkedIn takes us in the next 6 months. With nearly 100 changes to LinkedIn so far to the end of June 2023, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next 6 months and where they take us again. So Cher, let's put up on the screen where people can go to see Gillian's material on YouTube and other places. And Gillian, if people haven't connected to you or followed you, please do reach out to Gillian, because she really puts up some fantastic material. She does walk the talk, and it's really useful to make sure that you're on top of what's going on LinkedIn video. So Gillian, thank you so very much for joining us today where you are in Phoenix, Arizona, and we so appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And we will see you back here again with another LinkedIn Live towards the end of July. And I'm really looking forward to be talking about professional services with another LinkedIn colleague of mine, Mark Halpert. So that's coming up at the end of next month. And in between, we'll have another LinkedIn audio event for you too. So thanks so very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.